but will the IPL fixing scandal really lead to new legislation and more transparency in sports? Government sources say that the Sports Minister Jitendra Singh will be meeting the Law Minister Kapil Sibal just tomorrow to discuss the contours of the new proposed law to curb betting, at least in cricket. Sibal had called the minister yesterday to discuss the possibility of such a legislation as well. So we'll of course see how all of this develops. But joining us now is our Associate Cricket Editor Sajeev Mukherjee, and of course we also have the advocate Mr. Gopal Jain, Senior Advocate, joining us on this in terms of how a law could possibly help. Sajeev, the BCCI is of course now looking to send out a very strong measure and message that it's trying to put together an anti-corruption officers that are not going to be looking just at this particular incident. They're going to be accompanying teams themselves. It wants to send out that message. But are those measures at this stage going to be efficient? Because we're looking at a long-lasting problem and many people of influence who've been with the BCCI.
Right, Fatima, let me clarify at the beginning for the benefit of our viewers. There's nothing new with the announcement which is going to come, because as a matter of fact, whenever an Indian cricket team goes for an international tournament, an ICC tournament, there's always the team's security manager and the team manager who coordinate with the ICC's anti-corruption and security unit officials, and they are in charge. They are entrusted with the responsibility of vigilance and prevention of corruption measures with regards to the Indian cricket team. So there is nothing official. Possibly the BCCI, if they do make an official statement about it, an official hue and cry about it, they're obviously wanting to show that they are being very, very proactive with regards to Indian cricket in the wake of this spot fixing scandal. The other important information which we would like to disseminate at this point of time is that we've already heard from Union Minister Kapil Sibal asking about the need for a tougher legislation and new law to fight fixing in cricket, betting in cricket. The fact is that I'm learning from my sources, the BCCI is very, very keen about new and tougher legislation, and they're obviously writing into the government asking for a new law to help them curb the menace of fixing. But as you asked very pointedly, whether the Indian Cricket Board is serious at all, because in the last 13 years since the ICC's anti-corruption and security unit has been put in place, the BCCI also has security units in place. We have not yet heard of even one case in which the BCCI has registered an official complaint against people involved with fixing, other than the 5 cricketers who were nabbed because of the India TV sting. So the seriousness, their intent, that is yet to be judged. Too early to talk about that, but definitely some measures need to be put in place right now.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there's consensus on that, at least across the board. Sanjeev, stay with us. Gopal Jain, to come to you with that. The BCCI now writing to the government asking for a stricter law. The Law Minister Kapil Sibal saying there's definitely a need for a new set of laws to tackle match fixing. Is that something you think will help curb the problem? We can tell you already feedback come in. A lot of people scoffing online on Twitter, for example, saying that's not going to solve the main issue.
Well, let's look at it like this. It will definitely be one positive and concrete step and a way forward. Now, we've had this problem for a long time, but it's only when an incident happens, then we have a quick knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, if the ordinary law is applied, people maybe, get away, there's not stringent punishment. So you always need to have a defined legal and regulatory regime which clearly sets out what are the offences, what is punishable, what can be done, what cannot be done. And that, I would say, definitely is a concrete step forward. Whether by itself it will resolve the problem, we don't know. Secondly, BCCI also should have had a very strong disciplinary independent committee in place which takes quick decisions within moments or immediately after such an incident happens, and severe punishment must be handed out on the administrative side itself, whether it is to administrative players or whoever is involved. And thirdly, I think importantly, that if we have a law which also looks at betting or illegal betting and also match fixing, spot fixing, and holds players, officials accountable, it adds greater teeth to it, because then it's punishable by law. So I think we have to look at it as a composite process if we really want to check this menace or arrest this menace.
Mr. Jain, just to go back to the sort of laws that we would need, what are some of the contours you recommend in this sort of legislation? Because we're looking at a vast problem. It's also difficult to really perhaps even look at what exactly spot fixing is. We've talked about that earlier as well, to look at the evidence that actually comes out of it. So what are the sort of contours you would recommend in this sort of legislation?
Well, I think the key thing, as you said, is match fixing, spot fixing, when you have a predetermined plan to which various actors and characters, carry it out. These will have to be specifically defined and made as offences for which the punishment will also have to be prescribed. So in the last 3 or 4 years now, we've had several incidents, whether it's through sting or whether it's been, Pakistani players who've been found guilty. So the whole process is, let me put it like this, gives you the raw material or the data to see what is happening. That will then have to be translated into a codified law where there'll have to be specific definitions given to this, and then you will have to be held accountable. Very much like if a soldier, does harakiri, that's as good as treason. So somebody who plays for the country, if he gives up a game or he compromises the country, that has to be treated, according to me, almost as far with something like treason. That is betrayal, breach of trust. All this will have to be built into this law.